Living our best lives can be tricky when overwhelm is standing in our way. It is a really annoying roadblock that has a lot of different contributing factors. One contributing factor is a pesky little thing called procrastination. It buzzes in your ear, it breathes down your neck, so annoying. Do you procrastinate? Of course you do. Everybody procrastinates at some degree or another. It is a super common human habit, and it's just a habit, so it can be broken. The longer you wait to take action, the more overwhelmed you're going to become. So let's take action. Hey, Crystal with Cloud9 Organizing here. I am super excited to have the conversation of procrastination with you because procrastination gets you nowhere real quick, right? Before we dive in though, I do want to acknowledge and recognize that there are some people out there who say, hey, I am a procrastinator and I do just fine. Those people believe that they work better under pressure. They really are motivated by having that deadline breathing down their neck. Just something about them really gets them going, and that's the way they feel like they function best. I know these people. I am related to some of these people. I help some of these people organize and declutter their homes. I also know that a lot of these people are stressed out and overwhelmed. That's why they call me for help, because they need help, because they can't handle it all, because they become too overwhelmed with everything and the stress is getting too much. There have been studies also that show procrastination in the long run makes you more sick than you would have been if you would not have procrastinated. And I really do think that has to do with the stress that is associated with procrastination. So if you are thinking, well, that this has nothing to do with me, I don't procrastinate, I'm not lazy, I'm always busy, I just have a lot going on, so I don't really always get to do the things that I need to get done because there's just too much to do. Well, first of all, spoiler alert, procrastination actually has nothing to do with being lazy. So we will dive into what it's all about, what procrastination really is about here in a minute. So just stick with me. So you may be procrastinating and you don't even know it. Procrastination is sneaky. Let's talk about some ways that you may be procrastinating that you don't even realize it's actual procrastinating. It's preventing you from doing what you really need to be doing. For instance, creating and tweaking to-do list. Procrastilisting. Thinking and overthinking and overanalyzing. Procrastithinking. Reading yet another self-help book or taking another course. This is called procrastinating. And my personal all-time favorite is procrastinating. That's when I'm doing craft projects when I really should be doing other more important things. It could also show up as napping, shopping, adding new projects onto your list, over-planning and replanning. So basically, procrastination is anything that takes your attention away from what you really should be doing, the most important things. So why do we procrastinate? Well, again, it has nothing to do with being lazy. So procrastination is misidentified a lot as laziness. Actually, procrastination is all about avoidance, avoiding the things that we don't want to face. Anything that's negative, anything that we think might be too challenging, too scary, too sad, too uncomfortable, just all those negative feelings that we don't want to do, we don't want to face, we want to avoid. So all about avoidance. So for instance, let me give you some real life examples. Maybe you don't want to dive into a big project simply because you don't want to get to the end result because you know the end result is not going to be perfect enough. So again, there's that perfectionism mind trap sneaking in. Maybe avoiding going to the doctor because you're worried about a possible diagnosis that you don't want to face. Maybe you are avoiding doing your taxes because you don't want to find out how much money you owe the IRS. Maybe you don't want to pick up the phone and call an old friend because you know that an uncomfortable conversation needs to be had. Maybe you don't want to apply for a new position at work because you are afraid of rejection, afraid of failure. The list goes on. There are so many things that we avoid because we don't want to face the possible negative outcomes. So that's why we procrastinate. Think about something that you've been procrastinating on. What is it that you're dreading? What are you trying to avoid? What is that worst case scenario story that you keep telling yourself? Good news. It's probably not half as bad as you think it's going to be. A lot of times we get in our heads and we think a thought, and that thought just grows and grows and grows, and we focus in on something that is not real and that has not actually happened. So let's start taking some action to keep that procrastination in check, and to also keep our brains in check, and to stop all that overthinking, because action will destroy your procrastination. Luckily, there are a lot of procrastination experts out there, and a few of those experts have written books on the subject. In order to not reinvent the wheel, I'm going to share with you 2 anti-procrastination techniques that work really well. And then I also want to share one more technique with you that I implement that I don't necessarily attribute to learning from someone else or an expert. It's just something that I do that works amazing. The first technique is about doing the worst first. Brian Tracy has a book called Eat That Frog. And the concept of Eat That Frog, Tracy explains that if you have to eat 2 frogs, eat the ugliest one first. If you have to eat a live frog at all, it doesn't pay to sit there and look at it for a very long time. So basically, get it done. What is so beautiful about this is that most of the time when you do the worst first, or what you think is the worst thing first, it actually turns out not to be as bad as you think it's going to be. And my most favorite thing about this technique is the worst is done. You did the worst thing on your list for the day. Now it's just easy sailing the rest of the day for the most part. So I want to give you a personal example of how I use this technique. So this week I had 2 big projects on my plate. One was to get my federal taxes done and turned into the CPA. The other one was to do this procrastination video. So between the 2, I had to pick the worst first. Which one was the ugliest frog? Of course, the taxes. So I sat my little butt down in my chair. I got all my business expenses taken care of, made sure everything was good, called my husband, made sure he had his ducks in a row. We made an appointment with each other to come together that night and get everything off to the CPA and get that off of our plate. So then I could sit down after I took care of that and make this video, which I don't consider a frog. This was my fun project, and I didn't have that little ugly tax frog sitting on my shoulder bothering me while I was trying to focus on making this video. Another one of my favorite anti-procrastination techniques is Mel Robbins' 5-second rule. This sounds way too simple to work, but it actually does work. When you know that you need to get something done, something you're avoiding, something you do not want to do, it is as simple as immediately counting backwards from 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Take action now. Now, Mel Robbins claims that it takes about 5 seconds for self-doubt and all that self-talk to kick into your brain. So before that happens, you want to jump in and switch things up in your brain, and you want to start taking action by counting backwards. And when you count backwards, you're interrupting your train of thought and that habit of overthinking, and you're thinking about taking action. I'm going to give you another example of how I use the 5-second rule to help me. There is something that I procrastinate on quite a bit, and it's something I don't enjoy doing, so I had to use the 5-second rule to get me going and do it. I had to call customer service about our internet service, and this is something I just always try to avoid because I hate picking up the phone and dialing and not being able to talk to a person and having to push the numbers and making sure I pushed the right number, got to the right department, being transferred, never really knowing if you're going to get a person, never really knowing if your problem's going to be solved. And do you see how I can real quickly in 3 seconds get into that negative mindset and just start swirling that worst case scenario thought in my brain and doing that overthinking. And so then I just usually procrastinate. I'm like, I'm not doing that right now. I'll do it later. So Instead of thinking or allowing myself to think I knew I had to get this thing done, it was at the top of my task list for the day. So I saw that. I went 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, picked up the phone, called the internet company before my brain could start going crazy and talking me out of it. And you know what? It took all but like 3 minutes for me to find out that there just was simply an outage in our area. It had nothing to do with my personal internet connection. The next day, everything was fine. No big deal. So I was making it out to be bigger of a problem than it really was. So try to put this into practice in your life by just picking something, anything. Say you need to go for a run or you want to go for a run. So count backwards from 5 before you talk yourself out of it. 1 or 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Put your shoes on. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get out the door. Or 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Call grandma. Whatever it is, just do it to get yourself used to doing it, and you're going to find that you're going to get so much done and you're going to stop procrastinating. The last thing I encourage you to do could be a game changer. It could also be a little vulnerable and uncomfortable for you too. Just at first, and then it becomes almost addicting and something that you look forward to doing. Have an accountability partner. Have someone that you trust or a group of someone that you trust where you tell them, this is my goal or this is my task that I need to accomplish this, and have them check back in with you. You check back in with them. Sometimes just telling another person or a group of people that you're going to do something, just right there motivates you to get it done. That accountability alone is huge. Now, if just telling it to somebody else or just saying it out loud is not enough to motivate you to get it done, then make sure you're picking the right people, the right group of people. Make sure you're picking people who know what kind of tough love you need and know exactly how to push you. And those people exist. Don't use that as an excuse and say that, well, I don't have people in my life like that. You know what? Go find those people. That's what I had to do. Use social media and make a post out there and start a group yourself if you need to. Reach out to somebody that you admire and start a relationship. Really just reach out to people. I promise you there are people out there who are on your side, who will help you, and you have people. That is exactly what I had to do. I had to reach out to people, and now I have quite a few people that I can lean on when I know that I need to get something done, and this motivates me the most out of all the techniques. Certain techniques will work better for you, but this is the one that works best for me because I know that if somebody else knows I'm going to do something, I'm going to get it done. They probably don't even have to ask me about it. It's going to get done. But sometimes I still push it off and don't do it. And then when they tap me on the shoulder and like, hey, how's that going? I'm like, oh, so I get back into it. It motivates me to keep going. So I've got my mastermind groups, y'all. Amazing group of women that I have become bonded to. And that is where I find a lot of my accountability. So go out and find your people. Find your group. I promise you they're out there. Recap time. Eat that frog. Do the worst first. Use the 5-second rule to stop your brain from overthinking and talking you out of things that need to be done. Have some accountability. Share with a friend or a group of friends what it is that you need to accomplish. So you have 3 tools in your tool belt now, so go get it done.